call this meeting to order, Oconee County Council meeting. It is June 16th, 2020, 6 p.m. We'll begin with public comment session. Just so we're clear, I keep the time up here. I will not interrupt you, but I will hold up 1 minute remaining on there, and then I'll turn that over when time's up. That way you get your full allotted time. And we'll start with Ms. Brower.
Hello. Oh, don't touch that. Okay. Hello, my name is Abby Brower, and these are my neighbors. And we have some representatives here from the Cliffs, Kiwi Key, and the Reserve with us today. So we're here to stop the proposed gun range located at 453 East Stamp Creek Road. That borders my property, and also hers, and other people. The seller is Steve McLeod of Seneca, and the buyers are Scott Durham of Ted's Barbershop and Son Matt of the gun shop Shear Shot. Both are from Seneca, and that is no relation to the new council member. Okay, please look at your first page if you'd like. This is a post of the owner's son describing the proposed gun range. The gun range will be open 365 days a year, including Sundays and holidays. Sun up to sundown. Potentially could be from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's a long day of shooting by multiple groups of people. Membership only, pistol ranges, rifle ranges, 1,000 yard range. This is 10 football fields. This means high-powered, large caliber rifles, guns, and ammo. These are huge bullets, and I have them here. They're not real. They're made from garden spikes. This is a 50 caliber. It can travel very far, up to 5 miles. And here's your regular little 22, made out of a straw. Okay? The sound is deafening. Metal targets, skeet bays, campsite, fire pits, ATV trails. No ammo restrictions. Bring your own ammo. Unlimited guest invitation, which means large groups of people. Unlimited range time, which means all day long. In short, you can shoot as much as you want, as long as you want. If you would, please turn to the danger zone page, next page. A projectile from a misfire on the range has the ability to travel up to 5 miles, which would include the neighboring properties of the Cliffs, the Reserve, and Kiwi Key, and everyone in between. I am sure they will not like this, and they have all been notified. Inside the red circle danger zone, you will also see the town of Salem could be impacted. All right, please turn to the page marked Noise Pollution Perimeter. This is a 2-mile radius, which again includes the Cliffs, the Reserve, Kiwi Key, and all residents in between. This is what I believe is to be the most important part. The Oconee County Code of Ordinances. Section 1232, prohibited noise generally. Any noise of such character, intensity, or duration which substantially interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of persons of ordinary sensibilities occupying, owning, or controlling nearby properties, or of persons making use of public properties for their intended purposes, is hereby declared to be unlawful and to be a nuisance and is prohibited. In 1999, John Drosty and his son Tom Drosty set up a shooting range on Flat Shoals Road off Highway 11 near Burroughs Automotive. Due to the neighbors' complaints, the Oconee County, South Carolina, shut down this range. We ask you to be ahead of the game and do not even let this get started. Also, it would not be fair to the Durham family to invest any further. In summary, here are my 4 points. Property values. Most of us have been there 20 to 30 years. Property values will plummet. No one wants to buy a home or property next to a gun range. Noise. The amount of noise will be deafening to our family and furry friends, pets, and animals. There are 4 pre-existing horse farms next to this proposed range, as well as goats, chickens, dogs, and cats. I repeat, the noise created will be in direct violation of the Oconee County Noise Ordinance Section 12-32. Safety. We feel this gun range will create a very unsafe environment to all in the area. Any misfire from a high-powered weapon could be deadly. We must be proactive now. The environmental impact. The lead from the bullets is a toxic poison. The proposed gun range is surrounded by Cornhouse Creek. Rain will wash the lead from the gun range into this creek, which directly flows into Lake Kiwi about a quarter mile away. Would you want this gun range in your backyard? Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Mr. Joseph?
Manik Joseph, I'm here in support of Abby Brower and neighbors that are voicing concern over this proposed gun range. And also just to share an anecdotal insight into what this could be like. Recently, a piece of property sold near where I live. And about 4 weeks ago, it sounded like a war zone, and I went to check it out, and the person who bought the property had set up a temporary gun range, nothing permanent, nothing like that's proposed here. And they were shooting handguns, probably 45 cals, 9mm, 357s, and about a mile from my house, there were 10, 12 people that were shooting, and this went on for 5 or 6 hours. We had to leave our outdoor recreation and go inside, and this noise was so loud, and we're talking about smaller caliber guns. It was so loud that it was actually concussing off the side of my house over that distance. Just want to point that out, that this would be a serious inconvenience to the farmers, the landowners, the horse people. I have horses myself, and they were a little skittish when the war zone was all aflame there that day. So I encourage you all to consider this as the quality of life. I'm pro-gun. I have guns. I'm not against guns. But if somebody wants to do this kind of range, seriously, it needs to be in the middle of 500 acres. Yeah, not adjacent to other people's property. Thank you.
Mr. Collins? Jack?
I had several things I wanted to talk about, but I was advised not to talk about some of them. So I'm Jack Collins. I come up here tonight to thank Wayne McCall for the service that he has given this county over the years. Wayne, wish you well. You've done a good job. Also, Mr. Glenn Stewart. I've seen him more, Glenn Hart, sorry. I've seen him more in my district than I have for the elected official that's supposed to be representing me. Mr. Hart, we thank you. I'm sure that Matt Durham will do a good job. I had some questions I wanted to ask this council about the 41-year fireman that they tried to take out of service. But I was told to keep my mouth shut about it. So the questions will be coming later on that issue. But I wish y'all well. Thank you.
Mr. Barnett?
My name is Jerry Barnett. Y'all should know that by now. During the last campaign, you know, there's been a little name calling going on. We need to get to the root of where it started. It started with 3 individuals and the Seneca Journal, one referring to the council chair and 2 council members as the 3 Stooges. 3 of you piled on and went along with what was going on day after day after day in the journal. We read about these 3 Stooges. Thank God we've got 2 of the Stooges left. What y'all did to this lady shames us all. It amounted to a coup de grace. And it destroyed any credibility the 3 of you might have had after the fact. And I'm not the only citizen of this county that feels that way. The other thing I need to talk about, you know, at some point, Mr. McCall got tired of hearing stew. You know, human nature, you have to respond. Let's touch on what is going on with the Planning Commission. The smell is overpowering. You've got 2 members of the Planning Commission that are pretty much trying to intimidate and bully the rest of the Planning Commission for a personal agenda. Now, none of us are brain dead. We know where this personal agenda is coming from and who's behind it. The galloping billboards is one of them. They keep coming up, chasing billboards all over the county. RVs want to attack a source of affordable housing. These RVs are registered with the state highway department. They are vehicles. And you're trying to make up stuff as you go along to attack a certain standard of living. I could go on and on, but that's enough for y'all to chew on and digest for right now. You better take this seriously because we the people do. Thank you.
Jan Barnett?
Will's gonna speak first.
I'd like to switch places with her. My name is Will Hall.
What's the name?
Will Hall.
Will Hall. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Will Hall. I'm from Southport Village. It's a little community north of Seneca on Highway 130. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you. I want a brief comment on change. Do you know how many human beings were on this planet in the year 1 AD? 300 million. It took to the year 1800 before we hit our first billion. So depending on when you think man first arrived as we know him on this planet, it took between 10,000 or 200,000 years to reach a billion people. Now it takes 12. The world is growing. The United States population is growing. South Carolina's population is growing, and Oconee County's population is growing. I had the opportunity to hear a real estate investor speak. And he's saying when you want to invest in real estate, the very first thing you need to consider is the net inflow or outflow of people into a state. You want to invest in the states that have a high inflow and not invest in the ones where people are leaving. Guess where North of South Carolina ranked? 3 out of 50 states. South Carolina is going to continue to grow, and might grow more than most states, at a rate more than most states. And I think Oconee County is going to grow more than most of the counties in South Carolina, because it is the lake district and it has mountains, two very, very desirable characteristics. So what I'm trying to say is you're gonna have a lot of growth in the next decade or two that's gonna be a real challenge for your infrastructure system. But I'm not gonna talk about that. That's a whole plate all by itself. The thing I want to talk about is as more people come into this county and more businesses come into the county, you're gonna have the situation where commercial entities are gonna build adjacent or next to private residences. That's one example. Whenever that happens, the residents lose because they're gonna be faced with noise pollution, sense of smell, sight pollution, their house values, their property values are gonna go down. I want you to imagine if you lived on the edge of a community, but you were in the periphery, or you lived along a state or county highway, and the property next to you was being developed, and let's just pick something, let's pick a gas station, or perhaps a Zippy Mart. What are your grandchildren or children gonna see with no restrictions in them building the way that it is now? They're gonna see people urinating in the parking lot. They're gonna see perhaps drug deals. And I contend it's a vector for crime. All the person has to do is pull behind the building, they're shielded from the street. Now they can just wait till after hours and rob that whatever house or houses are right behind that building very easily. I think kids could be kidnapped very easily for the same reason. But there's an easy fix. All you have to do is when a new commercial entity wants to construct, when they were right next to a resident, is they have to put some kind of buffer. Perhaps while they're moving the dirt around, they put a berm and some shrubs on top. Maybe it's a fence. There has to be different standards, though, because there's different level of noxiousness, as you would say. Some businesses are not noxious at all. The lawyer builds buys an old building right next to another house. Big deal. But if you have a rifle range, or you have some other, there ought to be different standards by level of noxiousness and effect it's going to have on the neighbors. The last thing I would say is that at every level of government, and I don't care if you're talking federal, state, county, city, the number one duty of the state officials is to protect its people and to promote the well-being of its citizens. Please stand up and protect your citizens by doing the simple thing and the right thing. Thank you.
And Barnett?
I'm Jan Barnett, and no relation.
No?
I'm the president of the Southport Village Property Owners Association, and we have two concerns that we wanted to address. Will spoke, he's also from our community. Two other people have submitted comments to you, but were unable to come tonight. But we have some specific concerns about the matters that Will has been speaking of, and one other issue. We are an established community. We were built starting in 1995, and we're very close to Rochester Highway and Old Clemson Highway off of Sugar Valley Road. So we're right next to Kiwi Shores. Within the layout of our subdivision brings us within 600 feet of a recently sold property that is going to be developed as commercial. In addition to that, we have existing commercial, a 5-acre tract that backs up to our community, but right now it's only being used for storage. So we're very fortunate in that, but it's a prime piece of real estate, and we fully expect that if there was a death in the family, that piece of property might go for a more demanding commercial application. Our concern is, as Will stated, a buffer of some sort between our existing residential area and new commercial development that would come in. Some sort of a buffer depending on what's needed, sound abatement, a visual obstruction, something that would allow it to be, the quality of life to be continued. So we fully support any development standards for commercial development in the community. My second issue is a corridor planning issue. We have to enter Rochester Highway from Sugar Valley Road. Our biggest problem is traffic coming down from the north. We find that they do not adhere to the speed limits at all. They're in a hurry to turn left onto Oak Clemson Highway. So many times, just entering into the left turn lane to turn onto Sugar Valley, we're confronted with a head-on situation of somebody dodging over to that lane to turn left onto Oak Clemson Highway. In addition, it's very difficult to get out of our subdivision. If you turn onto Rochester Highway going north, you've got traffic coming down. We have a blind curve there, and we can't see the traffic as it's coming toward us. So it's just take your life in your own hands going across to turn left. Similarly, to turn right to go south on Rochester Highway, you can't see far enough upstream to know that you're safe to turn right. So this situation, we've already had wrecks at that intersection. People have turned right and somebody passed them on the right and slammed into their vehicles. I mean, we've had a number of wrecks at that intersection. So we would ask the council to consider extending the corridor planning to include the Rochester Highway from Old Clemson Highway on up north, where all the development is going, to keep it from being a deadly situation. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Mr. Markovich.
Good evening, y'all. I am Tom Markovich, just in case you needed to know that. I'm here to speak on the litter ordinance, and let me be clear beyond a shadow of a doubt, I am all for strong litter ordinances. However, something that caught my attention in this one was that all of a sudden, it refers to if somebody violates the provisions of the article by 15 pounds. I had to sit there and think about it for a minute because it's really not too clear. And I went back to the actual ordinance and tried to read through it and just see exactly how we're thinking about this 15 pounds. It just kind of out of the blue. It needs a lot more definition and needs to be in context because I feel like it's just coming out of the middle of nowhere. And it's just not real clear. And so I think there needs to be a strong litter ordinance, but this needs to be cleared up. So, thank you.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Douglas Elliott, sorry. Different Elliott.
Well, thanks for your time. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name's Doug Elliott. My family has owned a piece of property 2 doors down from their proposed gun land for over 100 years. It's beautiful, quiet, peaceful country, and the idea to have a gun range put within a quarter of a mile away, with obviously the provisions that they've shared with you, seems completely out of mind. We come out there to go and enjoy some peace and quiet, and to hear on the weekends or anytime gun range, sounds going off left and right, obviously with restrictions, is very concerning. Property value is obviously going to be a very big thing that's going to bother us. All of our neighbors here, we all stick together and are all on the same page. And I'm an NRA member, I'm a gun member. I like to shoot guns. I think everybody does at some point or another and can respect them. But when it comes to trying to go to your home and sitting next to a gun range, it just there's something wrong with that picture. So between the property value and obviously it's also going to affect the hunting that goes on there in the neighborhood and in that area, that's a huge concern, as well as the property value, but mainly the noise and the trouble that it's going to bother on this nice quiet little road that we try and get away to in peace and quiet, and Coney County is going to turn into next militia haven. So I just want to tell you that we strongly oppose it. and wanted to voice our opinion, and thank you for your time.
Mr. Brad Devon. I'll use first names now, just in case.
You got it right. Name's Brad Devon. I live at 123 Serenity Drive, and that name sums up why I'm here. I caught wind of this about 3 hours ago, and I dropped everything to run down here to speak to you all. We built a house on the lake, and it touches up to the land that goes up towards this area here. And that barrage, I forget the gentleman that was just talking here, was talking about a barrage of gunfire. I heard it myself, and in our situation, when you live on a lake, sound travels, and it just echoes down the lake. So anticipating what this could do even magnifies it even more so. This would have a very strong effect to everybody that lives, and if you drive down 130, you go down over that wooden bridge that goes up towards Salem, that cove, that lake section goes right up towards this land, will be affected very greatly by this noise. And Ms. Abby, I think, spoke very clearly as far as all the different reasons: property value, noise. Also, all the activity. You get a lot of people coming in with trailers, ATVs, all the different aspects that come into the area as a result of this type of situation will have a great effect also on our neighborhoods. So I strongly oppose this, and I would like you to take strong consideration in this process, considering all these factors. Thank you.
Peter Glazier.
Hi, my name is Peter Glazier. These are some of my neighbors here who definitely oppose this. If you've ever been, I'm a shooter, I love shooting, but if you've ever been to a range, even if you're a mile away and you sit there all day long and listen to just shooting, and it doesn't even have to be high caliber, it can be just 9mm guns, rifles, it makes a lot of noise. And if you were to sit on your porch and listen to that all day long, it's crazy. And I was telling a friend of mine, he has PTSD, right? He goes, well, I would never come to your house during the day if I heard gunfire, right? So that means even one of my friends couldn't come to my house and sit in the backyard, because I'm only maybe a quarter of a mile away, half a mile at the most from where this range is supposed to be. So I just wanted to say that, I disagree with allowing this to go through. Thank you.
Peter Barnes.
I'm Peter Barnes, and I'm the president of the Kiwi 1, 2, and 3 Subdivision Homeowners Association. I'm here to talk about the corridors, setbacks, and planning, predominantly along the corridors around the lake. The listed homes in QE2, when we went to the Coney website, is roughly around 75 million of the 150 homes. We estimate there's about $200,000 collected every year in property taxes. I found out, much to my surprise, there are 25 subdivisions around Lake Kiwi. Some are in Pickens County, but I'm pretty sure 16 of them are in Coney. There may be more, but most of these subdivisions are very new and have many homes exceeding over $1 million. So I don't know what the tax base is there, but we intend to get accurate figures for the number of homes, their assessed value, and their taxes to see just what the benefit is to the county and the state. We will request Mountain Lakes Community Association and Advocates for Quality Development to assist us with this. The subdivision on the east side of the lake, on the west side of Highway 130, all the lakes are all on the lake side of the highway. All have non-intrusive, attractive landscaped entrances, and the homes and facilities are not visible from the road. In other words, they're buffered from the highway. They don't take away from the beauty of the highway. The subdivisions along Highway 130 extend from the Summit subdivision just south of Old Clemson Highway up to just north of where 183 joins up with 130 at Kiwi Key. All of these subdivisions are concerned. We recently appeared before the Planning Commission concerned with the building of a large storage facility to be built between Stanton Road and the dam, facing entrances entrances to QE 2 and 3, and on the reverse side, adjacent to the Nuri Road in Nuri. We are still concerned about the development of this piece of property. All the subdivisions are concerned about the possible construction of high-rise structures or hotels appearing across the lake from their homes or worse next door. Property values would plummet if this were to occur. Real estate companies have told me a major factor in selling homes is the tree-lined Highway 130, which opens to the vista looking across the lake towards the Blue Ridge as they cross the dams. They say it helps sell a house before they ever get there. Major development along Highway 130 would detract from this image. Further, the county uses, I point out, right on your web page, the geographic issue with the description 50 of the world's last great places, the world's, not the America's, great places, destinations of a lifetime, which includes the Jacassie Gorges and Lake Huey, describing the beauty of our county. This could be spoiled with poorly planned development of the corridors around the lake. There are good examples of outstanding planning in the state. Perhaps the one that most people are aware of is the beauty of Hilton Head Island. You can drive past a shopping center there, and it's so well hidden behind its buffer that you don't even know it's there. For example, McDonald's may not put up their 50-foot high golden arches. The present primary concern of the residents of QE 1, 2, and 3 is the development of the section of Highway 130 between Old Clemson Highway and the dam. There appears to be considerable near-term interest by developers in that stretch of land, particularly on the east side of the highway. And I would add to what the lady here spoke about traffic. It's a 45-mile-an-hour limit there. There's a lot of cuts in and out of the road. There are 4 on the QE 1, 2, and 3 side, and there are 3 on the Nuri side, where you're trying to get out into traffic. The speed limit's 45. I have several times chased behind a driver to see how fast he's going. I quit at about 65. Very high-speed driving, and it just keeps getting worse. I, in fact, went to the Department of Public Safety just 1 year ago, in November, and in the previous 18 months, there had been 13 accidents with 7 injuries. There's been 4 more since then. Usually rear-end collisions at 2 and 3 as people speed up. Thank you for giving me the time to speak to you today.
Phyllis Gardner.
Good evening. My name is Phyllis Gardner, and I'm a 15-year resident of Macomb County. I fully support the efforts of the Planning Commission to institute a buffer zone along our roadways for future commercial development. Excuse me. Planning is a necessity for preserving and enhancing the natural beauty of Oconee County. By utilizing the established forum of the Planning Commission to explore and discuss the many options, and most importantly, receive input from all interested parties, the Planning Commission will present a comprehensive ordinance that you will be proud to give a stamp of approval. Thank you.
Wes McAllister.
I believe Mr. Doug Haddon would like to speak in turn of Wes McAllister. Is that correct, Adam?
Martha Steele. We'll come back.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Martha Steele, and my husband and I are residents of QE 1, 2, and 3 subdivision. I want to second a lot of what has been said tonight. And as Peter Barnes just said, there have been all those accidents. Well, there was another one in front of QE 2 last week. Bumper left in the road and big long skid marks. I didn't see the accident. It was definitely there. The bumper was in the road. Anyhow, as residents of QE 1, 2, and 3 subdivision, we are very interested in having a buffer zone requirements included in the commercial development standards for Oconee County. Oconee County is a very beautiful area, and we residents would like to see it remain the scenic area that it is, with beautiful lake, mountain, and wooded views. We ask that the Planning Commission establish such requirements so that any commercial development that is near to any residential subdivisions or along our scenic highways not detract from the area's beauty or the residents' enjoyment of life in Oconee County. When my husband and I retired from our jobs in Illinois, we considered many different areas in the U.S. for our retirement years. Among them were the mountains of Colorado, since we're skiers, and my beautiful home state of Virginia. But the scenery and the outdoor offerings of Oconee County won us over. We moved here 19 years ago as healthy, active senior citizens and have really enjoyed our years here. We soon became actively involved in volunteer work with COBA, our daily bread, reading programs in the elementary schools, and our churches. All groups which enhance the lives of so many people in our communities in Oconee County. Please ensure that Oconee will continue to be the beautiful and vibrant place that attracts other people, including active retirees, to make their homes here and join in keeping Oconee a vibrant community. Therefore, we ask that a buffer zone be established for commercial development along our highways and near our subdivisions. We would request that this buffer zone require that any commercial development be far enough away from any existing residential area or scenic view that the business would not detract from or interfere with the existing residential area or the view. We also request that there be a requirement that any commercial development be appropriate in spirit, character, and in harmony with the nearby residential areas and general vicinity in structure, signage, etc. Please establish commercial buffer zones to ensure Oconee retains its bucolic character. Thank you for your time and consideration.
We had Wes McAllister or whoever was speaking for that.
Their name is Doug Haddon. Yes, sir.
Mr. McAllister will not be speaking.
Not that I'm aware of. Verify that with a nod of the head. He will not be speaking.
Okay.
I'm speaking for the Oconee County residents.
Mr. Haddon, if you could state your name for the record.
Douglas Wayne Hedden Jr.
Thank you.
I live in Mountain Rest. I'm speaking for the county on something that's on the agenda tonight I think needs to be brought up. It's our statue in town. Today I was at the meeting over there, a peaceful meeting, thank God. Okay? And I had a conversation with the BLM, Black Lives Matter. They told me that the statue is no longer an issue. Okay? No longer an issue. And I explained to them, and we had a peaceful conversation back and forth, that statue was erected in 1910. And I explained to them that that statue was erected for black and white Confederate soldiers and nurses, in my words, that rotted on the battlefield and never came home, and their memories. That is part of our heritage. It is not hate. They totally agreed with this. I went on it further in depth, which I don't feel I need to today. But if there's any questions asked, I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my knowledge. So with that being said, I think that we need to put on the agenda at the next meeting how we're going to preserve that statue. We all know that we can be told from either side of the party that nothing is going to happen to our heritage, which is a statue. But we all know it doesn't take 10% of a bad apple to tear it down at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know. But something needs to be put in place to preserve it. whether it be a fence, i.e. to protect it from anything being put around it and it pulled down by a bad apple of either side. I would ask that the county, the city, so on and so forth, take this into consideration and let's preserve our heritage. I'm speaking for a lot of people in this county. A lot. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment that didn't get a chance to sign up at this time? Yes, ma'am. You can come forward and state your name.
But you signed in? I did sign in. What's your name again, please?
Anyway, what's on your name?
We just need you to state your name for the record, please.
My name
You can
is
say it over there, it's fine.
Octavia Childress.
It's on there, we believe.
I thought I said that.
Yeah, she was probably way up on the list, yeah.
Yeah, well, she was number 13. I must have missed it when I thought I called it. I'm sorry. You're right.
Thank you, Miss Childress.
There you are.
Thank you.
That's why I asked that at the end, making sure I didn't miss anybody.
Okay. I live on 423 East Stamp Creek Road, adjacent to the property of the man that could create problems with the shooting range. I own 6 horses. I cannot fantasize the fact that this man wants to put a shooting range next to my property. A fence is the only thing that separates his property from me. My horses would be frightened to death of the fact of guns shooting. My fear is this, is that if guns start shooting in a tremendous amount, my horses can become frightened, charge through the fence, get struck by a car, and I would be responsible for everything. Therefore, I choose very strongly for this individual to please do not put a shooting range next to my property for my safety, but mainly for the safety of my horses that I have there. They are precious to me, and I choose nothing to happen to them. That's a very private, a very quiet community where we live. It has been. I've been there for 30 years. Nothing of any sort has occurred like this before. I am very sorry for this, and I trust that this will not come to pass of allowing a shooting range to be put next to my property. Thank you for your time.
My apologies for missing you on there. I don't
That's
know where
all
I got
right.
to.
I got to speak anyway.
There you go. Anyone else? Anyone else that did not get a chance to sign up or that I forgot to call their name out? Yes, sir. You can come forward and just state your name, please.
Tim Bovee.
All the way up, sorry.
Tim Bovee. I'm the general manager at the Reserve at Lake Kiwi, which I know is in Pickens County. We do pretty much share that sign with Cliffs Falls. And I went by boat today. Abby, great to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you.
Went by boat today just to see the cove that this proposed gun range was going to be behind. It literally would go right over Cliffs Falls and would impact many of our neighborhood sections as well. From a noise ordinance, heaven forbid, safety. The rifle part of this, I just don't think is appropriate at all. The noise part, certainly, I think this council would also have objection to have any contact with the Cliffs CEO as well. And he's had some communications with the proposed buyer, and it's pretty wishy-washy information. So I just want to sit here and listen, and I thank you for the time.
Spell your last name for me.
B-O-E, V as in Victor, E.
You get that, Katie?
I did, I was asking the same question, thank you.
With the reserve.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ed McKenzie. I moved on Nimmons Bridge Road in 1985. I strongly agree with these folks here. We've all been good neighbors, a quiet community. And the one big issue I have is I have a daughter who works 12 hours at night. And these guys are going to start shooting guns all day. And we were less than about a quarter of a mile, I guess, Pete, right? maybe a quarter of a mile from where this is at. She works 12 hours at night. She sleeps from 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. When's she gonna sleep? Would you wanna live next door to that? Thank you.
Anyone else? Any written comments can be delivered to clerk to council. Do the council member comments?
Yes,
Mr. Elliott.
John Elliott, right?
John Elliott.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
And everyone else, I appreciate you coming, expressing your opinion in opposition to the shooting range. I too will be affected. I live in Kiwi Key, and I will be sitting on my porch listening to gunfire as it echoes off the lake. So I am mostly concerned. The big concern of mine is the lead, the spent cartridges, bullets contain lead. During the rain, it will wash into the streams, creeks right beside the property and go into Lake Kiwi. Thousands, tens of thousands of people in Oconee County depend on that drinking water. I appeal to the folks that are looking to do this to think about themselves, their children, and their grandchildren. That is drinking water that we rely on. This will put lead into the drinking water. Lead is not good for your body. We all know that. We as county council can debate zoning all night, whether it's bad or good. If this property had been zoned agriculture or residential, we wouldn't be here talking about it. But it's zone free, which says the owner can do anything they want to with the property. Again, thank you for everyone coming and expressing your opposition and your opinion. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hart.
I want to thank our road department for getting Cobb Bridge open today. So if you want to travel Cobb Bridge on 76, you can go from one end of 76 to the other on Cobb Bridge. Second, I want to thank Mr. Kane for making his motion to stop advertising in the Seneca Journal newspaper. But I think this ought to be amended because Edwards Publishing has many tentacles. That one of them is the Seneca Journal, but there's others like the Lake Living and the Scuttlebutt newsletter of Kiwi Key. I think that our African-American community demands that Edwards Holding and entities should be banned from any Oconee County taxpayer money used for advertisement. Thank you.
Any other council member comments?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. McCall.
Last Thursday, we had a budget meeting, and a whole wad of people come in from they were black and white. They come in here, they voiced their concerns about an insensitive political cartoon that was put in the Seneca Journal. And it was very upsetting for everybody. Then, the next day after that, the Seneca Journal wrote sorry in there, okay? So Friday, I said, well, it's gonna be something in the paper about all these women showing up, very articulate speakers. After the meeting was over, I met with a bunch of them down there, trying to calm everybody down. They upset. I sound like James Brown singing, please, 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 because that's what I was doing to them. So I had them all calm down. They leave out. I guess you tell by my accent, I ain't from around here, I'm down the swamp. But they all calmed down. Friday, in the paper, there was no mention of the budget. It just said the council passed the budget, that was it. No mention of all these people coming in here, voiced their concerns. So Friday, I paid for it. My phone was ringing. Tell you, what you saying? I thought you listened to us.
I said, yes, ma'am, we did. No, ain't nothing in the paper about that thing. So, obviously, the newspaper is like La Nacional in Nicaragua. We only print what we want. There was a reporter sitting back there. She was taking notes. Is the one paper here in the county censored to the point where the voices that don't agree with the paper, is that how we run things? Next thing you know, we be thinking about Daniel Ortega, Raul Castro. This is censorship of the press, controlled by one person. La Nacional's controlled by Ortega. The Cuban paper, Raul. His brother couldn't kill me in '69, so I guess all's forgiven down there. But anyway, it's just concerning to me, that's all. And I became so upset at the meeting, those of you that saw the meeting, I jumped all over Mr. Davis. Oh, I was mad. Yeah, I was mad. I got awful temper. Mr. Davis didn't do anything, but I jumped on him anyway. Had the administrator crying, all because of that stupid cartoon in the paper. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you. Any other council member comments? Got a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mr. Root?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Father, give me the words to pray. First, start with thanking you. We thank you for the lives you've given us, for the very air that we breathe, the ability to breathe it, the friends and family that we have, the provision you've made for us, the water to drink, the food to eat, that we can live and move and have a being, and that we can assemble together. We have a lot to be grateful for, and I pray that you would help us to focus on that when we wake up, when we go to sleep, and throughout the day, the things that we are appreciative of, and instill in us hearts that are grateful. We also have a lot of issues in this world, in this county, and they're overwhelming, and that's the way we should appreciate them or understand them. They're too much for us. In fact, life is. And so help us to come at life with that humble understanding that it is really just too much for us in our own strength, that we need you, that we need one another, that we need unity. In this time where there's a lot of division, I pray that folks would not so much seek to persuade others to come to their side, but that everyone would draw to your side, that they would have your mind, that we would be slow to speak, that we would be quick to listen, we would be slow to anger, that we would actually reach out in love and do your will. And I pray that would be done tonight in this meeting also. In your name I pray, amen.
Mr. Hart, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we take about 2 minutes I know some of y'all don't want to stay here, and that way council's okay with it. I got 6:54, and just 2 minutes enough. Anybody needs to go to the bathroom, and that way anybody that wants to leave can leave. Is council okay with that? Okay. Anybody needs to go to the
Resuming from recess.
Resuming from that recess, thank you, council, for allowing that to happen. And we will move to approval of minutes. We'll first start with June 2nd, 2020 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Any changes, amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Got approval of minutes, June 11th, 2020 special public hearing minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Brock, administrative comments?
Yes, unfortunately, everyone I wanted to thank for coming apparently has fled the building. So we'll thank them for coming anyway. I think that public comment, as you all do, is vital to our direction for us to get a pulse and feel for our community, and we definitely got that tonight. Second item is Mr. Hart. I wanted to address the statement that you made in the council member comments on the minutes for the June 11th meeting. It does say the Journal or any of its affiliates, and that's how the motion was stated, so I'm assuming that covered everything, but if you wanted to readdress that at another time.
No, that's fine.
We could do that.
That's fine, but I just listened to it before I come in here and I didn't hear that.
Okay, I
I
got
heard
you.
the Seneca Journal.
Let me see, just for the record, I'll be happy to read it. It
No, that-
said, sir?
I'm fine with it. If you say it's there, I'm good
Okay, I
with
just
it.
wanted to make sure that was addressed in writing as well. And I know that those minutes did get to you late and that you may not have had a chance to go through them entirely. And the third thing is, if with council's permission, I would like Mr. Root and I to be able to get back in touch with Mr. Hedden about the council's responsibility regarding the monument at the end of town. And that if we could help assist the city of Valhalla and or the state, we would not mind doing that. But as you all know, that is not a council responsibility.
All right. Attorney comments?
I have none, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
We'll move through public hearing. We have, first one we'll open up is ordinance 2020-01, ordinance to establish the budget for Oconee County, provide for levy of taxes, ordinary county purposes for the Tri-County Technical College Special Revenue Fund, for the Emergency Service Special Protection Revenue Fund, Road Maintenance Special Revenue Fund, Bridge and Culvert Capital Project Fund, Economic Development Capital Project Fund, the Debt Service Fund, Victim Services Special Revenue Funds for Capital Vehicle Equipment Fund, all in Oconee County for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th. No one has signed up. Anyone that is wishing can come forward now. Any written comments can be delivered to council. Yes, sir. Mr. Barnett.
I'd like to say a few words. Appreciate personally the work that you did on the budget. And, I guess I'm gonna speak to future budgets. I think it's high time they used to print on an annual basis county personnel. It was in the, oh, for God's sake, I don't even want to mention the paper again. But anyway, position they held and the salary was a matter of public record. It would be good if somehow we could get back to that, because the people need to know who they're paying to do what. And we've got a very capable administrator. You've always, as somebody that has served in supervision and heavy construction, you've always got people, sometimes it's good to have people you don't need, spare people. But you've got people that we used to refer to that are riding the payroll. And some of these people with the county are riding around here in tricked out Tahoes. Of course, former administrator's the one that loaded us up with the tricked out Tahoes. We know that. But some of these people, maybe they'd be riding a bicycle or sharing vehicles, you know. And human nature says that these people are gonna use that vehicle Well, a lot of times, personal transportation, it happens. It just happens. You know, and you can't watch everybody at every minute. But it's time to take a good long look at the personnel, these vehicles. I suggested one time putting a logbook, just like the military has a logbook in every vehicle. And record every trip, the mileage and the purpose. You know, and get a handle on some of this. Because you'd be surprised how much you can save if you just ask for a little efficiency out of these people and eliminate these excess people that you don't need. And the people don't need to be paying. We're paying a guy a bloated salary to clutter up our roads with bicycles. And this cat's driving a vehicle. I think we need to look into that one, you know, because these bicycles in our traffic irritate the hell out of me. Build them a little circle somewhere and let them ride around the circle. Get them out of the road. Thank you now.
Anyone else? Any written comments can be delivered to clerk to council. I'll move to close ordinance 2020-01. Just for a statement on that, there will not be a third reading on ordinance 2020-01 tonight. I just wanted to get that cleared out there. Public hearing ordinance 2020-02. Ordinance to establish the budget for School District of Oconee County to provide for the levy of taxes for the operations of the School District of Oconee County for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, ending June 30th, 2021. No one has signed up for a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2020-02? Any written comments?
I won't do it again. We've done this before, we do it every year. I had you read a letter from a lady, Mr. Davis, with the budget meeting, you know, asking the school board to be a little responsible with the people's money. They have a tendency to think that this is their money. In order to keep getting it from us, they have to spend it. And that's pretty much true. If they wind up with surplus in their budget, you know, I'm subject to take that away from them. So there is no incentive for these people to be responsible with our resources. And at some point, I'd love to see if we can establish some incentive for these people to do the right thing. Thank you.
Anyone else for ordinance 2020-02? Any written comments can be delivered to clerk to council. I'll move to close public hearing on 2020-02. I'll move to open ordinance 2020-03 for public hearing. Ordinance to provide the levy of taxes for Kiwi Fire Special Tax District and establish the budget for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021. No one has signed up. Anyone that would like to come forward to speak on that can move forward. Any written comments can be delivered to clerk to council. I'll move to close public hearing on ordinance 2020-03 for Kiwi Fire Special Tax District. Move to open ordinance 2020-12 public hearing for ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of governmental real estate lease purchases between Oconee County as lessor and Clemson University as lessee for certain real property, including certain improvements located at 200 Booker Drive, Walhalla. No one has signed up for public hearing. Anybody that would like to can step forward now. Any written comments can be delivered to clerk to council. I'll move to close public hearing for ordinance 2020-12. Third reading, we'll begin with ordinance 2020-02, which is the ordinance to establish the budget for the school district of Oconee County. Do I have the motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Third reading on ordinance 2020-03, which is the ordinance to provide the levy of taxes for Kiwi Fire Special Tax District. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Third reading ordinance 2020-12, ordinance authorizing for a real estate lease with 200 Booker Drive, Walla, between Oconee County and Clemson University. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have no second reading. We have first reading on ordinance 2020-09, ordinance amending the sign control ordinance of Oconee County, South Carolina. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hart.
I'd like to thank you and Mr. Kane for bringing this forward. I wish you'd have brought it forward during the campaign season so the Oconee County voters could see who represents them and who represents special interest. A billboard, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, is protected by the First Amendment. In our meeting March the 3rd, 2020, we passed a resolution 2020-03 that South Carolina, that Oconee County is a Constitution right protected county. We stood up and everybody applauded. This week we're taking a wrecking bar to the Bill of Rights from which the First Amendment came. Mr. Kane, a practicing attorney, wants a moratorium on new billboards and advertisement, according to his article in the Seneca Journal, owned by Edwards Publishing, a newspaper and a print advertising company. Why does Mr. Kane want to control new billboard advertisement? And who stands to profit the most? This is just another liberal policy that is chipping away at your freedom of speech. But this is not the first time. What freedoms will you be asked to give up next? Did the sign amendment go through the proper procedures? It was voted down by the Planning Commission several months ago. Is this what Mr. Tom Marcevich overheard Mr. Kane complaining about to the Planning Commission? No professional peoples on the committee? I'm going to expose the reason for this advertisement amendment. It's just a political payback. What is the main use of a billboard? It's advertisement. It's not to shelter or anything like that. What are the major advertisers in Oconee County? Billboards, radio, television, junk mail, and currently the one newspaper owned by Edwards Publishing, which offers newspaper and printed advertisement. Why is county council picking winners and losers in any business? In closing, I want to say this billboard sign ordinance is just another example of government overreach and taking citizens' property rights. We don't have a billboard sign problem in Oconee County. Political interest groups are trying to create a problem where no problem exists for the political purpose. I personally don't want Oconee County to have a problem with billboards or signs, but I believe Oconee County has more than adequate ordinance and procedures to control billboards, signs without any more government overreach and damaging to citizens' property rights. All of this under the pretense of any billboard with the reality of its political payback to funnel advertising dollars to their friends.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. McCall has taught me that the number one job of our council is health, welfare, and safety of our citizens. Distracted driving is a safety issue for our citizens. Distracted driving kills people. It is a fact that billboards cause drivers to be distracted. Mr. Chairman, we must pass this ordinance for the safety of our citizens because it's a number one duty of ours. And Mr. Chairman, if any council member owns a billboard, then they have a financial interest in this vote. They are in the business of billboards. They must not vote or they will commit an ethics violation with the South Carolina Ethics Commission. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr.
if I could add, I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Elliott. Effectively, nearly everything that Mr. Hart stated was a lie. That was false. Absolutely false.
You're not an attorney?
Hang on,
I said
guys.
almost everything that you said was a lie. Beyond that point that you made, sir, almost everything you said was false. In no way, shape, or form do I intend to do anything other than stop new billboard construction. That's all. Existing billboards are there. I'm not I'm not asking the council to limit those billboards. Some of the other ways that people advertise now are through the internet, electronic advertising. That wasn't mentioned, but that's becoming one of the predominant methods of advertising in today's age. I really feel like, as you had a lot of people up here today talking about the beauty of this place and how the reason they moved here, the reason they live here, the reason they spend money here and pay taxes here and volunteer here is because we have a beautiful county. And I think it is our duty to preserve that beauty for future generations, not only this generation, but ones to come. And it is absolutely false that I'm trying to benefit a person or a group or class of people other than those who live here or who will live here, and to preserve the natural beauty of this place. So, I don't agree with a lot of what you said, as I mentioned. And I know that you have a billboard or two, and you probably want to put more up. And that's, as we've been talking about this for a long time. And I said, hey, if anybody wants to put a billboard up, go ahead and put it up. In fact, they could probably, I don't know, Mr. Root could tell us, they could probably file an application right now with our planning director before this has passed. Is that correct, Mr. Root?
We would have an issue with the pending ordinance doctrine.
Okay.
So perhaps not.
So if we pass it tonight, they won't be able to theoretically put one up. But we've been talking about this ordinance for a long time. And I know you've been opposed to it the entire time. And I understand that. I'm not saying you don't have a valid position. I'm just saying that I think the majority of people in this county would rather not have a billboard right next to their resident. How does building a billboard next to someone's house or other property, does that positively or negatively affect that neighbor's property? And I think it negatively affects their property values. Having a billboard next to a house. Do I want to buy a house right next to a billboard? No. So, I think you have to balance all of the interests here and say, who is going to be served by this ordinance and who is not? And of course, the people in the billboard industry are going to say you should allow billboards to be built every 20 feet. The people who want to preserve the natural beauty of the area are going to say, I don't want any more billboards. And I'm in that camp. I understand the camp you're in, but please don't try to muddy the water with some conspiracy theory. That is not true. That is not true. I'm not trying to benefit anybody other than the residents of this county that want to preserve the natural beauty, okay? I'm dead serious. I appreciate if we just talk about the issues instead of bringing in these false things. Because it's not right.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. Abstain? Is that right?
Is that 4-0? Or 4-1, I'm sorry?
Hey, go.
Okay.
Nobody?
Just want to be clear. All right. First reading, ordinance 2020-10, ordinance amending the enforcement and penalty provisions of the litter control ordinance of Oconee County, South Carolina. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
I got I got a couple
Yes, sir,
questions.
Mr. McCall.
All right, Mr. Barkovich brought up a valid thing. Litter is litter. Well, I'm going down the road, and old Kevin back there is following me. He sees me throw a drink bottle out. That's littered, right, Kevin? I done throw the drink bottle out right in front of you. Or am I throwing a whole 50-pound box of garbage out in front of you? It's still littering. So this ordinance ought to say 1 cigarette butt, 1 drink bottle, or the 55-gallon drum. It should be all the same. You know, littering is littering. And it should have the same horrendous fine for everybody, for all, you know, whether you throw a little bit out or a lot out. Because a little bit turns into a lot after a while. It just mounds up. I just wanted to bring that up, and I appreciate your indulgence.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Elliott.
Follow up on that discussion, and I agree with Mr. McCall. Mr. Root, is there some kind of legal requirement that it has to be a certain amount of litter, or can we say any litter?
It does say any litter. What we're looking at here within the ordinance is just an excerpt of the litter ordinance at large. If y'all recall, and it's been a while, but as this came out of law enforcement, the notion was because we're having a litter problem, we wanted to stiffen the enforcement, stiffen the penalties so that there was a litter mitigation, picking up litter aspect to it. So I was directed just to track with the state ordinance. So that's what this does. The state ordinance has and it's all done per offense. So the state ordinance has this poundage requirement, so that the more pounds, the more egregious the littering on a littering event, the more time you would have to do to spend to clean up, and the higher the fine. So this tracks with the state penalty, and that was what the directive was. Of course, we can modify it. We don't have to track with the state, but y'all wanted to add some more teeth to it, so that's why that was done.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. McCall.
I think we should modify it, because we're saying 50 pounds. Me and John could be going down the road, and John's got a big old wad of trash. I said, John, don't throw it out all at once. He said, okay. Just keep throwing out a little bit at a time.
You got the ordinance beside you, you're like, did you not see what the ordinance done? Don't be
Yeah, John. I mean, I think we should, because litter is litter, no matter what. It's just trash in everything.
Well, one of the things that I'm concerned with, I'm not even after the money or the fines, as much as I am people to understand what we're up against. And if you've ever been involved in a litter pickup, you understand how that is hard. It's hard work. And I know those that, you know, our inmates that get out there and do it, it's not easy. I mean, it is rough to get in the ditches and really go through this. And if you know, my road where I'm at, what I pick up on a monthly basis is absolutely insane, the amount of, I can tell you what the most popular beer can at the gas station is. So I think with that, I don't know if there's a way to, you know, because if people don't pay it, you know, I guess we have to serve a warrant on that, and our goal is not to have people that litter go to jail. Our goal is to have people not litter, period. And if they could see it like I see it, like a lot of us here that have been on cleanups have seen it, you're going to think twice about doing it. And you know, the open container and the beer cans, and I may be speaking, I don't want to speak for an officer, but just because you have a beer can that's in the back of your truck, you know, it doesn't matter if you're drunk, you're drunk. It doesn't matter, but it just blows my mind the amount of beer cans. It's like, as long as I don't have an open container in here, I'm good to go. And it seems to be that's the thought process behind this, and it's out of control. And so I don't know what we can do. There's a difference of blowing out of the back of your truck, which I think accounts for a small percentage of it. It's just amazing that a bag of McDonald's gets balled up and tossed out, especially on my road. I want to put a basketball goal on a trash can, but I'm afraid I'd have to pick it up too much. But I agree. I don't know what the parameters are and what we as a, because they're the ones that have to enforce it. What's enforceable?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, this all grew out of the county's, just frustration, council's frustration with us having the litter ordinance in place and it not changing the litter problem that the county was having. So the first step that it took was we sent this to the law enforcement committee and we discussed it, was to make the ordinance track with the state ordinance so it had more, like I say, teeth to it. So community service wasn't something that was optional with the magistrate's court, and that was one of the kind of speaking lines, what have you. But that it was mandatory. So that would get those folks involved in cleaning up litter as part of the restitution that they did, and then hopefully it would deter them from future littering. So each cigarette butt is an offense. Those would add up, and they would be separate. One large littering episode or event would be that one that triggered a greater community service, a higher fine. So this is one aspect, and I know since we've talked about this last, we've had COVID and a tornado and protests and a lot of issues going. But the other aspect that we talked about at the time was perhaps putting together a litter task force or something on the educational front, and I think that addresses probably the bigger issue, because we can only deter so much or penalize so much. And another aspect of it is getting people to have to buy into their community and realize, hey, this is damaging where I live. And I know Mrs. Brock has done some brainstorming on that, but in addition to all these other things, she's also had the budget to put together and things like this. But I know that was in the works.
Mr. Chairman, since this is just first reading, can we ask Mr. Root to look at what possible language we can use instead of the language we're using now, and then come back to second reading?
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. I just need some guidance on the goal, because the goal before was to make it so it's a stiffer penalty, and this does that.
What's the stiffest penalty we can give?
Well, it's within our magistrate's jurisdiction. Essentially, you're going to have restitution and or 30 days and or $500. So it escalates up that. This tracks with the state version.
So this is, you feel like this would be, if someone's challenged this ordinance, this is about the closest we can get to the line without going over?
Past constitutional jurisdictional muster, yeah, I do. I think the bigger aspect is what we can do by way of educational programs. I know everyone throws around task force. Well, we got a task force, and so it'll fix it. But I do think something akin to that that got involved in the schools and was active. And I don't do policy. It's not, but I think that would hit the other goal that y'all are reaching at. But I'll look what I can do, and I looked at some other places. But I'll do another review and see if I come up with something that's a little bit we'll just say creative, different, to see if they've. I know we looked at the constitutionality of having litter bug outfits and something like that, and that caused some pause. I don't think that's something that we can do, but there may be something else, and I'm glad to look at it.
I would think that places like Hilton and places like that probably have pretty strict, tough. We might want to look at places like that.
Horry County.
Horry County.
I'll bring that within second reading. I'll bring back a report on other jurisdictions, some of the more strict ones, and see how they line up.
Do have a motion and second. If discussion's over, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, we have no first and final. We do have some action items. Printing and mailing all types. Tax notices, assessor, auditor, delinquent, tax, and treasurer not to exceed approved ordinance 2020-01 budget. It's staff's recommendation that council approve upon final of fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. Number one, approve the award for printing and mailing all types of tax notices to Laser Print Plus Wyoming LLC. Laser Print Plus WY LLC of Columbia, South Carolina, in the amount not to exceed the approved 2020-2021 budget for 1 year, with the option to renew for 2 additional 1-year periods. And 2, authorize the county administrator to renew the award for up to 1 2 one-year periods, provided their work is satisfactory and the amount does not exceed the future year's approved budgets. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have tires for state contract, rock quarry and vehicle maintenance, estimated amount $145,000. It's staff's recommendation that council, upon final approval of the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, 1, approve the purchase of Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, Michelin tires as needed from Super Service Tire Alignment of Walhalla, South Carolina, and the combined estimated amount of $145,000 for fiscal year 2020, 2021, and 2, allow the county administrator to approve future purchases from state contract for the next 4-year period or through fiscal year 2024, 2025, as long as all purchases for Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and Michelin tires are in accordance with the state contract award and amounts do not exceed amounts budgeted and approved by council for future years for tire purchases. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We have action item procurement number RFP 1908, institutional healthcare services for the detention center. The amount of $386,400 is the staff's recommendation that council, upon final approval of the fiscal year 2021 budget, 1, approve the award of RFP 1908 institutional healthcare services to Southern Health Partners of Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the amount of $386,400. 2, approve any additions to the cost pool as long as the medical budget for the detention center is not exceeded. And 3, authorize the county administrator to renew this contract for the additional 4 years as long as the amount does not exceed the medical amount budgeted for the detention center and the services provided are satisfactory. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Procurement number RFP 1906, Inmate Food Service Detention Center, not to exceed approved ordinance 2020-01 budget amount. Is staff's recommendation that council approve the upon final approval of the 2020-2021 budget. 1, approve the award of RFP 1906 Inmate Food Services to Trinity Service Group of Oldsmar, Florida, in the amount not to exceed the approved ordinance 2020-2021 budget for the expenditure, and to authorize the county administrator to renew the contract for an additional 4 years as long as the amount does not exceed the food budgeted and approved by council for future years and all services are satisfactory. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Just as a point on that, it shows 2020-01 budget. All the other ones are showing 2020-21 budget. Is that a misprint? Am I reading that wrong? I see the ordinance 2020-01. I just want to make sure that that's.
It's the FY
Is that the ordinance?
2021, but
Okay.
the ordinance number.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay.
So just and to clarify that one, because this one is the appropriation for the current year is in excess of what the budget is. We will be making a transfer after the budget is passed. So that means if we did make an amendment to the budget, that this contract would not be null and void.
Okay, that's what I was, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir,
I
Mr.
wanna ask
McCall.
one question, Ms. Brock. Is this the same contract that we had in the past?
I believe this is a renewal of the same vendor, yes.
Kevin, is this the same person to all the meals that just add water? Seriously?
I think so, yes, sir.
Is council okay to allow? I'm good with it.
I didn't put you on the spot.
I'm Kevin Davis, Oklahoma Sheriff's Department. Yes, we went through the procurement process. We had 2
this vendor and another vendor apply. In researching and going through the process, we did, this vendor come out on top. And we're looking at, probably it's the personnel issue that, for the vendor that we're working on.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Davis, the reason I asked that question, silly as it sounds, we're here to, lock them up, but we don't want to get, we don't want them getting out worse and hating us. We want to put them back in society. And all the food down there is just add water. They even make the Coast Guard look good. That's bad.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Action item procurement number 1909, Seneca Rail Park Infrastructure Economic Development. Amount of the project is staff's recommendation. The council, 1, approve the award of ITB 19-09 to Cedar Farms and Construction Incorporated for the Seneca Rail Park Infrastructure, the amount of $570,319.32, and with a 10% contingency of the amount of $57,031.93 for any change orders that may arise, for a total award amount of $627,351.25. And 2, to authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this project and sign any change orders within the contingency amount as stated. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next is a discussion for county administrator for certain real property comprised of 11.23 acres located adjacent to the airport region, the Oconee County Regional Airport. Purchase price shall not exceed $150,000, which shall be paid for by the FAA and SC Aeronautics grants with a county match between 0 and 5%. Ms. Brock, do you have any discussion on that? Or hang on, let me bring that up. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Brock.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Council, thank you. This is the parcel of property adjacent to the airport that we had discussed with council in the past. We had some issues with settling on the number of people that own the parcel and all of them coming into agreement. This is something that has been included and approved in the airport's capital plan for the last 5 years, and we are technically about a year and a half behind schedule on it. The purchase of this land for the immediate need is just so that the airport does have this land acquisition in the event that there is a terminal expansion at any point in the future. There will be no construction or anything on it for a period of time until we do receive further FAA approval to do so.
Any other discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I clicked up this tax map number, and it's wrong tax map number. I clicked up this tax map number, that shows the whole airport. And if you click, I clicked up adjoining piece of property, and it is 256-00-02-24. And it is 11.23 acres, and it has a value of $58,020.
There was an appraisal done on the property. I think Mr. Root may have made a typo. I'm not throwing him under the bus. Please forgive me.
I felt thrown under the bus.
Hang on just a minute. Let me beep while I back up. Beep, beep. I did not write this AIS. I will be upfront with you about that. I did not write this AIS, and I did not verify the tax map number.
I'm aware of the parcel.
Okay, it's a Scrivener's error, Mr. Hart. I apologize for that. If you looked at that parcel, you will, we do have appraised values on it. This is one that we had previous years negotiated on. The land value or the fair market value is substantially over what is listed on the tax map number. And seeing that this will cost the county between 0 and 5%, it is still a very valuable piece of asset for Oconee County Regional Airport. Now, the typo on the tax map number, I apologize. And I promise, Mr. Reed, I'm not trying to tell you.
Oh, no, you don't need to apologize. It must have been me.
It was just a typo, and I do sincerely apologize. But if you found it, then I hope you saw the parcel that we were discussing.
It's in the sharp curve.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Elliott, council committee reports, budget, finance, and administration on 6/2/2020.
Yes, the committee met on June the 2nd, 2020. After discussion of the current situation with the state local government fund, it was decided to freeze the budget at the 2019-2020 level for the 2020-2021 budget of $49,989,000, with certain budget adjustments to the line items, but the cap remains the $49,989,000 as the current budget is today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Board and commission, we do have an ag advisory board on District 5. Mr. Hart, would you like to bring that forward?
Yes, I would. I'd like to recommend Amanda Callahan to fill that seat that's vacant. I think all of you have her questionnaire where they answered it, and I'd like to make a motion that we take her in on that.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Need a motion to go into executive session for the following purposes. 1, general economic development discussion and activity update regarding multiple projects as well as product study. 2, discussion regarding an economic development matter project patch. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
To reconvene,
Make a motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
No action was taken in executive session, and no action is needed following executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.